the idea of this project came about because we are a German political foundation that which are aligned with our value on social justice and social democracy. As a German political foundation, we have a historical relationship with Namibia, and even with what has happened in the past. And therefore, we really felt that we have that sense of responsibility to actually have public discourse and dialogue on the issues of reconciliation and the genocide of 1904 to 1908.
Okay. And maybe, is there anything that you would like to add to the first question, Jinola?
Yeah, the idea was oftentimes understanding the dynamics of the genocide, and even just in terms of information. We felt the youth are not really well informed on it, or rather, or don't have a seat at the table where the discussions are happening. So as per the inception of this, it was so that we could give young people a platform to both learn about the genocide and the events that happened around 1904 to 1908, and of course, obviously, also to give them a platform where they can express themselves, maybe give new perspectives, and things like that.
What specific role do you envision for the youth in fostering reconciliation between Namibia and Germany regarding the Nama Herero genocide? I'll start with you.
All right. So particularly for the youth, the idea is just that the youth should get involved. Being the largest demographic in the country, it is important that whatever discussions are happening, that the youth are maybe not either at the center of it or are key contributors to it. And that is basically what we want. We want that these negotiations allow young people to also say, this is what represents our interest on this matter, this is what we would like to see. Because for us, and it is also something that we both, FES and the NID, believe, is that this is not a Nama or Herero matter. This is a Namibian issue. And Namibian youth should be on the table to discuss their stance, should be given an opportunity to air their views, and possibly even give their interest as to how, because that negotiation will also affect them. So that is the idea. Yeah.
Your end, ma'am?
Sorry?
Just in terms of how you see the role, the youth
Role.
Yeah.
Well, I also tend to agree with Jinola. We really want the youth to influence the negotiation process. We also want them to influence the outcome of the joint declaration. Because what really have happened in the past, even though it has affected their descendants more, it also have an impact on their daily lives. Most of them, the youth, they are unemployed. They are living in poverty. And it is a result of what has happened in the past. Your ancestors never had their lands, their property has been taken away. Now, as a result, their wealth has been taken away. As a result, they are living in poverty. They don't have the resources to really shape and create a better future for the generation, for their own generation. And we really, and therefore we want the youth really to be involved and create a better future for them by being involved in this negotiation, although not directly though, but at least if they can influence the negotiation. As we are talking, we are going to have a dialogue this evening, and I'm sure through media, somebody will pick up what they are saying. And if somebody cares so much about their plight, they will be able to take this recommendation. They will be able to take their recommendation seriously and make sure that whatever they said, it's also being channeled through the joint declaration and the negotiation process.
Can you tell us more about the experts who will participate in these sessions as we're now going about the trilogy?
Well, the experts, we have really high-level experts. We are going to have the ambassador of Germany to Namibia, Dr. Thorsten Hutter. He is going to really give us an overview with regard to the present situation. What has really happened? Where are we in terms of the joint declaration and the negotiation process? And what are the challenges that they are experiencing? And we are also going to have another speaker who is Mr. Weriuka Festus Chikua, who is representing the affected communities on the technical committee with regard to genocide, apology, and reparation. So he's also going to give us at least an overview on where we are in terms of the negotiation process.
What unique perspectives do they bring to the do these experts bring to the discussion? Maybe I can just continue on that on that question with you.
Well, I think the new perspective is basically to give the youth an understanding, because the joint declaration, some people are saying it is development aid. It's just another development aid. And although some people are not agreeing with it, so they are going to give us that understanding that this joint declaration maybe is something that is there for the Namibians, and it's there also, it's an agreement that is there to transform the livelihood of the Namibian people so that we can reconcile, and also so that the livelihood of the Namibian people is being improved.
Was there anything that you'd like to add, Ginola?
Yes, I would just like to add that, you see, when we looked at it, because it's a 3-part event that we have. First of all, we began with the first event that happened sometime in June or July, if I'm not mistaken, where we focused purely just on the history, where it was very education creation oriented. And for that one, we brought in a lecturer and, of course, another specialist in terms of the history as to the events of 1904 to 1908. But for this particular event, we looked at between who are the negotiations currently happening. Obviously Germany, and of course ourselves. But within that, you have specific stakeholders, people that have been practically on the ground, that have seen the documentation, you know. And the 2 speakers that we have are the people that we believe are purview to that information. And that is why, for the young people that we are inviting and that will attend the event, it will also be a platform to ask, where are we now? What has happened so far? What are the current developments, you know? And that is why these 2 individuals are key in answering that question of the present. Yeah.
How do you plan to measure the impact of the series, particularly in terms of raising awareness and understanding among the participants? Let me continue with you, Ginola.
Okay, the idea is, because this is a very youth-centered initiative, we want a lot of people to come, a lot of people to know what they need to, a lot of people to participate in the discussion, and of course, if need be, continue it on social media. So the event will equally be live streamed for those that cannot attend, but we want to create a platform where no young person should ever say, I was not part of it, or why are we not part of that discussion? Because this is a platform where you can be part of the conversation with regards to genocide. That is why we made it very youth-centered, very youth-focused, because young people should not be left out of that discussion, as they are the largest demographic.
Anything from your part, ma'am, to add?
Yeah, I just want to add that through their participation, their active participation, we are also hoping that whatever they have said will reflect in the negotiation. And because the people are saying the youth are the leaders of tomorrow. We don't want the youth to be the leaders of tomorrow. We want the youth to be the leaders of today. We have seen that things within the political landscapes are changing. So the youth are also demanding their spaces. The youth want to ensure whatever programs is coming as a result of the joint declaration, they want to be included. They must actually benefit from those programs, so that at least their life can be better for themselves and also for their future generation.
What are some of the challenges you anticipate in organizing these dialogues, especially regarding public engagements on such a sensitive historical topic?
I think, since you have said it yourself, since the topic itself is quite sensitive, but it's very important. It's a sensitive topic, it's a complex topic. So these are the challenges that we are foreseeing. And also people have the tendency of becoming emotional. And then they will step on each other's toes, they become emotional, and they might also be immature in their arguments. So we want to avoid this type of scenarios happening. And therefore we have a very well-qualified moderator that will be able to set the scene and be able to actually set the rules for engagement, so that people know what are the rules for engagement, in advance, and should they not comply, unfortunately, I hope everybody will comply. Should they not comply, unfortunately, they will have to be excused.
Your end?
But of course, in addition to that, it is very important that we had a good attendance in terms of our last event. But obviously, the more young people we have, the better. So our hope and prayer is that we have more young people that are willing to come and listen in, be part of the conversation, and contribute.
Beyond these dialogues, what other initiatives are planned to maintain momentum in addressing the legacy of the Herero Nama genocide? Ginola?
All right. Well, in partnership with FES, this was our first attempt. So we hope the relationship continues, and of course, we could still do more as of next year. But this was our first attempt to sort of not only awareness creation, but let young people be engaged. Let them have a platform where they can air their concerns, ask questions, and obviously have them addressed. So that is the idea. So this was the attempt of the two organizations to come together to do something for young people that we believe is in their interest, particularly to the genocide. And we are hoping, depending on the feedback we get from young people, that we can extend the same trilogy to have it next year again.
We ran an article in Namibian Sun, I can't remember when, but not too long ago, where it was about this kind of this rush to the two Kavango regions, particularly Kavango East, where the ruling party has gone for so long, for so many times. Every other weekend they were going back. And the article, which was also based on an opinion piece authored by Dr. Ndumba Kamwanya, it was he was talking about how Rundu has become this battleground, that they suddenly increased attention on Kavango regions because we are in the eve of the elections, but that was not the case throughout. Are you trying to capitalize on the same thing?
I think politicians, all political parties are trying to capitalize and gain as many people outside their stronghold. And I think even from a political analyst point of view, Kavango is, I wouldn't want to say a swing state, but you can see the idea of that, basically that it's no one's stronghold. It's a large population. It could be a determining factor in this politics that seem very close-knitted and tight-knit, is that who can secure the faith and belief of the individuals across the country, but more so these undecided areas, you do have an opportunity to succeed further than ever. Each party has its own stronghold and so forth. So when you have these areas that you have a large population and you have a undecided factor, it does it does intrigue a lot of politicians to say that this is the process, this is the place that we should cater to moving forward. Because you can see there's a lot of interest. For example, the ruling party is now interested in the regions that have been accepted by because green hydrogen, oil. So you would want to win those areas and so forth. But those are our strongholds, for example. So you have this political play in mind. But it's quite important that what we think we do differently and very organically is that we have actively been reaching out to these regions regardless, not only as an election technique, but to grow the party. As we are a young party, it is quite important that we gain favor in these areas. So pockets here, conversations there, to try and open up space to show that the Landless People's Movement is a party that is growing with the Namibian people and wants to be in these areas. So we as a party, I think our take has been very organic, as in that we go there because, not necessarily because of the battlefield, but just generally that we want to grow as a party and we want to be in every region and we have to have existence in every space and capacity of the country.
Yeah. In what kind of teasers can you give us from the manifesto? I know that it's not launched until Saturday, but people are curious. What teasers can you give us from that?
I think what is quite always important, and especially when we're crafting a manifesto that is rooted in ideology. So as a leftist party, as a social democratic party, we don't sway too far from our previous manifesto, especially since there are aims and ideologies and concepts that are there. So you already, by the name, you already know there's issues about land being discussed. It's going to be there. We're talking about agrarian reform that's going to be there. But also we take very much bold stances when it comes to projecting our support for building industry within Namibia, but also supporting the youth, where you'll see there we talk about very, very boldly how we're going to invest in that. Billions of dollars trying to be pushed into SMEs and those other concepts. We're talking about how we can change agrarian reform and basically build industries internally. Our take on social development, also inclusivity of disability, disabled people and so forth. So we try to touch in as many things. We have basically 5 pillars: the economy, health, education. I'm forgetting the other 2, but there are also other 2 that's there. But so basically, we try to touch on as many things that we try to take as many, especially with a lot of issues the country faces. There's a lot of bold statements that we have to make. For example, the education tier, we see that for a successful education system, there has to be a clear overhaul in how we decide to tackle this situation moving forward. Because, for example, in the past 3 years, 80% of grade 11s have not reached grade 12. And that's just the past 3 years. Then that's not including the children that are repeating, the lack of resources and all that. So our education system currently is in an ultimate crisis, and we have to probably reevaluate how we look at that, and we boldly have a stance when it comes to that. When we talk about investing in agriculture, we want to do it boldly because we believe agriculture is the backbone of the nation, of any thriving economy, and we think that that needs to be touched onto. We invest so highly into the youth and our infrastructure. We're thinking about also a grant that is temporary to address the current drought and situation that's there, because as much as everything's long term, we need to address currently that the people are hungry now. So we try to balance all these things of like the things that we're trying to do, but what we can also achieve currently right now, and the ideas that are extended by that.
Yeah, and to come up with a document like that, was it a normal scientific process or is it AI?
No, so we believe only a certain party is venturing in such a route. So our process basically is we have what we call a policy unit. So it's a bunch of educated individuals within our party, led by Lazarus and so forth. So you have them; they come together, they structure the document. After that, it was sent to the convention. The convention goes over it and see if it's aligned with what the individual, with what the party says. There was also a space and capacity for all party members to also contribute what they think they had to. It's refined again. The convention members, we met last Saturday again to go over it, to ensure, and then once we really thought that this captures, we're adopting it. Now it's going through the final edits and then it's out again. Then it's out this Saturday. So you can see it's a very lengthy process to ensure that not only is it a document that is rooted by facts and rooted by also people who understand the fields that they are working with, it is also something that we try to ensure that is to the values of the people, and it touches onto that. We try to also make it as a democratic process as possible to ensure that everyone in the party, within the structure, sees themselves or sees their issues being addressed within that. And also at the same time, we allow it to be sort of a 360 to see, is there something we're missing out? Is there a Namibian aspect, or is there a demographic specific that we may have not addressed? So we try our best to broaden it enough, but at the same time to also ensure that it's simple enough for to be grasped. So it's quite a balancing act, but this could be why it also took so long. But yes, so we just wanted to ensure that happens.
I know that political support in Namibia is anchored on so many things. Regional, there's a regional element, there's a ethnic element, but if the only basis upon which people were voting was manifestos, how would you rank? How confident were you that?
I'm pretty confident we'll be doing well. Because at the end of the day, I think the benefits of also releasing at this date and working is a lot of our competitors have also released their manifestos. So you can also see the skills and tactics they use, such as AI generated. You get to see those that put a bit of minimum effort, those who stayed to very rigid rules. I believe there was one that was very Christian orientated. And so you see how you also get to see how people perceive manifestos. They're like, okay, when are you just being wishful thinking? When is it strategic? What type of questions do people ask? But more so, we believe that initially our document was already going to be top tier because we believe the importance of a manifesto, because that's what we revert back to. That is what we're being held accountable on and so forth. And we think that's quite important that we said we're going to do A, B, and C, that the Namibian people can say, how far are you with A, B, and C? We think that's quite important. So for us, the manifesto has always been that document that is quite important for us to structure well. And it hasn't been a political tool, but it's something that also guides us as a party, because we think that's quite important moving forward, to have those accountability mechanisms, those transparency mechanisms. So we think it's quite important. So I think we fare very well compared to the manifestos that have come out so far. I believe some parties have not released yet, so I can't account for them. But I think with the standing, there's that. But I think also it's the engagement afterwards that occurs, because there's the understanding of our stances. How does this compete versus other ideas? And that's where I think actual debates come from. Who solves an issue better? Is it PDM? Is it SWAPO? Is it LPM? Or which ideology sounds more realistic, more tangible, or aligns with people's morals? And I think that is where the debate really stems from. But to be clear, I think ours is the best.
Yeah, okay.
The book, I think we started about this book around 2017. I remember the first meeting I had with him that, no, I want you to write my book. So I have to go and think, how do I start mounting this? How do I, like eating your own elephant, where do you begin?
Yeah.
So I started drafting questions following any event that I have researched about his life, things he did, with whom he did, places he have been, just to gaze on his memory. So we started interviewing. I started interviewing him, transcribing, writing, sharing some of the texts that I have written. He to agree or not agree.
Yeah.
And also sometimes to also interview some of his contemporary people with whom he has been, just to understand a bit more.
Yeah.
Because if you have witnessed the journey from Okangudi to Katwitwi on foot, you are the only one, you are the master of that journey. And that time, actually, those people have to walk through jungles, not like now when most of the forest is almost cleared by people looking for fields or building homes and things. But it is not easy to write a book, and especially on a historical narrative of somebody who have been at the helm of the liberation struggle and who has been a leader both in the SWAPO party and in the country as a president.
Yeah.
So I think it's not, if someone really will ask me, put the puzzles together, what form this book? It's quite, I think we can sit here the whole night and just talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But otherwise, writing is not something simple. You have to conceptualize what it is that you are writing about, and you have also to put yourself in a position of the audience. Because when you write a book, you don't write for yourself. Maybe the story sounds so good to you, but wait until the reader read it and tell you whether what you are writing makes sense to anybody or it's just making sense just to you yourself, the writer.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.